Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Red661 and today we finally got a hold, not really got a hold, more like my schedule lined up with apDrop's schedule. I was able to spectate the games that apDrop played using his ComboLock deck. If you're interested in the deck list, I had previously uploaded a video called apDrop ComboLock Teaser that covers the deck list and describes it a little bit. It was just a little teaser. Now we actually get to see it in action to be played for all of you to see. So let's get started. I am currently doing this over VLC because of the fact that I had pre-recorded it, and it's only pre-recorded because I did not have my mic on. So I actually did it live, and then it was like, nope, psych, no live. Sorry. And the reason why I didn't have my mic on was because I updated Windows 10 and it didn't have my mic enabled by default. So that explains that. Let's get started. So we don't have the mulligan choices for this particular one. Let's make sure the volume is set properly to 100%. There we go. We don't have the mulligan for the start of this game. He's playing against a hunter, Captain Peril, and he has a knife juggler. If I full screen this, does the black bars go away? The answer is no. So we'll have to deal with what we have with this. It's a 720, going to be uploaded as a 1080p. So anyway, apDrop decides to use his Dark Bomb on the knife juggler. Captain Pearl plays the mad scientist and deals a considerable amount of damage to start with. Fel Cannon gets played, which is in this deck. Fel Cannon, if you didn't catch it, it's a 4 mana, 3/5. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a non-mech minion. And here I'm trying to mouse over it so you can see it, but apDrop is doing some shenanigans with Twisting Nether. And you're like, what shenanigans can apDrop do with Twisting Nether with 0 mana at the end of his turn? And the answer is simple. He is trying to throw his opponent off.
Who to shoot?
Or is that a replay bug? It's a replay bug. That's why the end turn was there. But he was still mousing over Twisting Nether to throw his opponent off. And that's all he was doing. I didn't realize that was a replay bug the first time I watched it either. So Freezing Track ends up proccing, sending the Fel Cannon back to the hand, and he ends up hero powering, drawing Eartherin Farseer. Eartherin Farseer. That is a word. Eartherin Ring Farseer. There we go. And it's still hard to say in all honesty. But ends up allowing him to spend his mana, heal 3. Sadly, the quick shot will end up demolishing the Farseer, and then the hero power drops the HP down by 2. So it was really just a 1 heal plus eliminating some burn. So Emperor Thrallsane ends up getting played, reduces the cost of all the cards in the hand, and that's pretty good for Power Overwhelming because of the fact that it's now a turn 8 play instead of a turn 10 play. Ironbeak Owl ends up making Emperor Thrallsane no longer have his ability, but his job is already done in terms of the combo. The only thing it would really change is making Alex Straws have been played on a turn earlier, but even then it's kind of like eh. And apDrop draws another piece of the combo, an Arcane Golem. So he ends up debating on playing Hellfire because it would wipe out the board. I would agree with that play because it wipes out the board, and then plays the Arcane Golem in order to be able to deal some damage, mostly because of the fact he's already posturing for lethal, or nearly. Let's do some fast math. It's 8 plus 9, that's 17, so he's almost posturing for lethal. Captain Peril decides to play Unleash the Hounds, an Abusive Sergeant, which allows him to eliminate at least one of the 2 minions that are on board for apDrop. We'll end up waiting and see if he has any other cards to play. Currently deliberating on whether he needs to eliminate a minion or not either. It is a face hunter. No. With the Houndmaster, it definitely is a mid-range hunter and not a face hunter. He ends up playing a second Unleash the Hounds, so apDrop can now play Implosion without being at risk of Unleash the Hound completely destroying him. So now the next turn rolls around. We have Anti-Healbot, Fell Cannon, Big Game Hunter. Big Game Hunter won't be useful, so it looks like the only real plays is Fell Cannon or Anti-Healbot, and then Implosion. Personally, I would take the Anti-Healbot and Implosion route because of the fact that the Fell Cannon is going to eliminate one of the imps. But he might end up playing the Fell Cannon and the Implosion to have the possibility of regaining complete and total board dominance by eliminating both the Abusive Sergeant and the Hound.
Well played.
So he ends up taking the Fell Cannon route and plays Implosion. And we'll see if he ends up being lucky. He is lucky on one sense by dealing 4 damage, but he's unlucky in the fact that the Fell Cannon targets an imp instead of one of the 2 targets. Captain Pearl quickly decides to play Savannah Highmane, doesn't really deliberate much, and then plays a secret. What is that secret? Also plays the Leper Gnome. And ends up killing one of the many imps that are on the board. And another Implosion is drawn. So now comes the question of what does he end up doing? So apDrop decides to use an imp to check for freezing and explosives, and misdirection. So that leaves snipe and snake trap. So now comes the question: does he have lethal? 4, 12, no lethal. Now comes the question: does he have a way? Is he going to attack with any minions to any of these 2 targets and proc the probable sneak trap? And he decides not to and instead attacks face. So now Captain Pearl's down to 13 HP with a mid-range hunter and only a Savannah Highmane on board. And with the Anti-Healbot being played, apDrop ends up sitting at 23 HP, which is more than enough to end up surviving this turn. So let's check for lethal for the next round. Next turn for apDrop: 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So more than lethal by a large margin. So what does apDrop decide to do, or what does Captain Pearl rather decide to do that gives the potential of turning this game around? With Hunter's Mark being played on the Anti-Healbot, he might be faking that it's an explosive trap, though it doesn't really, it's already obviously checked. So apDrop does a little BM, ends up playing Alexstrasza to heal Captain Peril, plays the Big Game Hunter to kill the Alexstrasza, and then double power overwhelmings to the face, eliminating Captain Peril with the rest of the minions. So that is 1 win for apDrop. We'll go ahead and wait for the second game. I casted 3 games. Prior to this, I did have a rather sizable chunk of games that I had recorded. I think it was like 4 or 5. apDrop was playing a Dragon Mage, so an unconventional deck yet again. But he ran into a slight problem. It's the start of the new season. What happens at the start of every new season? The aggro decks come out like crazy. So what does this end up meaning for apDrop? With a dragon deck, Dragon Mage doesn't really have enough to hold off on the aggro. Aggro ends up completely destroying him, and he goes on a 5-game losing streak. Needless to say, I'm probably not going to be uploading that because it wasn't really good content. So now, in this game, against the Shaman, Danny Yang. So Danny, why are you playing Shaman? We'll end up seeing what kind of Shaman deck he's playing at the moment. apDrop currently showing off the Acidic Swamp Ooze to his opponent and trying to make him be a little bit thrown off by it. Life tap. So Danny might be thinking it's handlock at the moment due to the early life tap. We'll end up finding out. He'll end up finding out here soon. This deck is completely ridiculous. He has no idea what it is. So he ends up playing the coin, debating on playing the coin for what? Implosion? Implosion would be a good choice. We'll end up seeing if he's lucky or unlucky. It's a 33% chance that it's a bad roll, and a 33% chance that it's a great roll. And it ends up being the great roll. With the healing totem being spawned by the hero power, the Feral Spirit is capable of eliminating one of the imps without any regard to his health, but it doesn't really matter because Dark Bomb is going to be played. Does apDrop go face or does he eliminate the totem? He eliminates the Spell Power totem because that is obviously one of the best totems in the game for the Shaman. So what does Danny Young decide to play now? Zombie Chow. Zombie Chow, especially in combination with the Defender of Argus, ends up being an incredibly strong play. And with what is currently seen on board, not really an easy way to get through it, especially since the healing totem ends up reversing any damage that's, that the Zombie Chow can do to any of these one-attack minions.
So many possibilities.
apDrop debates on playing Blood Mage Thanos with the Dark Bomb to eliminate the Zombie Chow, which that's what he ends up doing. It's a pretty strong play. He ends up attacking the healing totem for the rest, to basically fight back the board for board control. Danny Yang's left with the Defender of Argus body and ends up playing Fire Elemental to eliminate the Mistress of Pain. Then he also decides to kill the Blood Mage Thanos, which apDrop draws 2 pieces of the 4 that enables his combo. So currently he's debating on whether he should use the Demon Heart to eliminate the Fire Elemental, which is what he ends up doing, and whether that would enable any other plays, which or whether he would make any other plays, such as the Sludge Vulture, which he ends up not doing. Twisting Nether will more than likely end up being played based on what apDrop has in hand on the next turn. And on this turn he can hero power the Sludge Vulture, he can end up playing the Fell Cannon that he just drew. It's not really a lot of great options though. What does he end up doing? Plays the Fell Cannon. Was a Fell Cannon hit? And he ends up hitting the 5/6. I can't really remember off the top of my head what that 5/6 is called. I know what it does. I can't remember it. It's been a little while since I've seen that card. So, Danny Yang ends up dumping a lot of cards onto the board, which ends up walking right into the Twisting Nether if that's what apDrop decides to play. It's a little bit debatable on whether he wants to play it now because of the fact that if he used the Mortal Coil on the fire dude that was added in Blackrock Mountain, he could only take 4 damage and just kind of hold off for a turn, but he ends up playing the Twisting Nether regardless. Danny Yang decides to just hero power and passes his turn after attacking face with his minions that are eligible for it. apDrop decides to hero power and end up playing the Fell Cannon. The Fell Cannon's going to end up hitting one of these 2 minions, probably the least optimal one, which is, of course, the Neuribian. Fire Elemental gets played, pretty normal stuff. Earthshock, because it's buffed up by the Spell Power totem, ends up eliminating the rest of the Fell Cannon after Fire Elemental's Battle Cry ends up dealing 3 damage. And apDrop's stuck with not a lot of choices. You could play the Hellfire and double Mortal Coil to eliminate the board and leave another 4/4, but that's not really a healthy play.
I wonder.
It would I think it would leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth, let's be honest here. So he ends up hero powering down to 17 health and plays the Sludge Belcher potentially. He's kind of debating it at the moment. And he commits to it and plays the Acidic Swampers. So apDrop predicts that he does not have the Doom Hammer, or he sees that he needs to play something to gain control of this game and foregoes the risk of Doom Hammer coming out. So with Earthshock and Lightning Storm coming out with a spell power totem and ends up wiping apDrop's board, doesn't really look too good for apDrop at the moment. Well, we'll see if he ends up clawing his way back into this game. Sadly, Power Overwhelming can only be played on a friendly minion, so you can't Power Overwhelming in a big game or anything of that sort. He ends up drawing. Oh, I'm yawning. Wow. It's been a little, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning right now for me, so I'm probably starting to get a little bit tired, to say the least. Anyway, he ends up drawing the last piece of his combo. The combo will end up dealing 24 damage, and he definitely does not have the mana right now to play the combo, so he's probably not inclined to play it right now, considering that without the extra mana crystal to play the other power overwhelming would mean that he would only do 16 damage instead of 24. So Danny Yang ends up clearing apDrop's board, so maintaining board control and playing a Sunwalker. I haven't seen that since Naxxramas, I think. It's been quite a while since I've seen that. So currently on the board state, there's 10 damage available for Danny Yang on the next turn, assuming that he has no buff cards and no spells to throw at apDrop's face. Alexstrasza doesn't really help to maintain the current board. Hellfire will eliminate 3 damage? 2 damage? It will eliminate 2 damage. However, it will deal 3 damage to apDrop, so it's not really too much of a help for the next turn. But the turn after that, the damage reduction will be useful. He ends up playing Emperor Tharlsane on the back of his Hellfire, reducing the mana cost of the cards in his hand. This enables him to hero power into Alexstrasza if he has the life for it. With the current board state, apDrop will be reduced to 4 HP, assuming that Danny Yang doesn't play for control. And of course, Danny Yang gets a Taunt Totem, and that more than likely spells defeat for apDrop, if you want me to be entirely honest, because that Taunt Totem was... well, he's still 2 damage short of lethal, even without the Taunt Totem, but with the Taunt Totem, it's even more unlikely because he has another minion he has to go through. He's debating on using the Mortal Coil to dig. This puts a 1 in 8 chance that he dies right now. We'll see what ends up happening. 3 damage, so it rolls well on the 50-50, but it's kind of rolls well on the rest of it, on the 1 in 4, but sadly just was not quite enough. So now apDrop decides to play Alexstrasza, more than likely, because that's the only thing that's going to heal him, but that's not going to be enough for what's on board, and that is going to be apDrop hero powering himself to death in the GG. So currently this deck is 1-1. Just couldn't do enough against a Shaman that maintains a strong board control. Not enough ways to regain control of the game, sadly, but at the same time, I think it's alright. My opinion on that matchup, I'd say it's probably 70-30 in favor of the Shaman. Alright, JYD, apDrop, Druid, Warlock. Let's see what we have in this game. So Siphon Soul, probably going to throw away. Ironbeak Owl, maybe keep. Hellfire, probably not. Mortal Coil, probably. I don't really know the mulligans for this deck all too well, so I can't really tell you for sure on what is kept and what isn't. What I do know is there is a card that functions a lot like the pirate that is in what is the deck? The Grim Patron Warrior. I can't quite remember if I mentioned that in this particular video or whenever I biffed it in the recording that didn't have the mic turned on. But or was it the mage deck? I think it was the mage deck. Yeah, it was the mage deck that I'm thinking of. My mistake. So essentially, the point that I was getting at, since this is going to be seems to be a hero power back and forth kind of game at the moment, it was a debate on whether you would keep the Illuminator, which is a 3-mana 2/4 that heals you for 3 HP, like heals your hero for 3 at the end of the turn if your hero controls a secret. The idea is you would only keep that in your mulligan if you have Mad Scientist in your initial mulligan to play on turn 2. And then even then it was up for debate on whether you would keep it or not, because you might end up not having 3 damage on board, or not have taken 3 damage in the meantime. So again, it also depends on the matchup. If it's Face Hunter, probably keep it if you have Mad Scientist. If you don't have Mad Scientist, you throw it away. The reason why I relate this to the pirate that's generally seen in Grim Patron, I think it's Dread Corsair is the name of it. It's a 4-mana 3/3 taunt, and the effects, there's an effect of reduce the mana cost by 1 for every attack power that your weapon has. So you would only keep that if you have a weapon. Otherwise, you throw it away every other time. So JYD currently, it's been back and forth. apDrop played the, what is it called? The Earthren Ring Farseer, and ends up, it's just been basically back and forth. You guys saw the game state. So, interesting play that apDrop did right just now, though. So he ended up playing the Owl onto the piloted Shredder, Dark Bomb the piloted Shredder, eliminate the piloted Shredder. Then he ended up using the Mortal Coil to eliminate the Owl, because the Fell Cannon has a 50-50 chance to hit the remains of the Sludge Belcher or hit the Owl. Whereas if he uses the Mortal Coil, it kills the Owl, which he's fine with because he draws a card through the Mortal Coil, and then the Fell Cannon eliminates the 1/2, meaning that apDrop has complete control of the board. So JYD ends up burning the first Force of Nature. This is a huge swing in apDrop's favor, because one piece of, so there's 4 cards the potential in the Force of Nature Savage Roar combo, and and you require 2 of those 4, and one of them is gone. So now the chances of him having the full combo is a lot less, like hugely less, especially this early in the game. Seeing a Force of Nature this early on is a huge confidence boost, and I would argue that allowed you to start playing a little more greedily. So he ends up hero powering, and this deliberates on whether he should play Blood Mage Thalnos. Basically, he's trying to draw cards to do the combo, and he plays Implosion on his own Blood Mage for the potential of, and he gets, oh god, that was dirty. So he gets the spell damage, which means it was 3 to 5, and rolls a 5, meaning he gets 5 imps. That is disgusting. Alright, the luck he had there was pretty silly. Mind Control tech out of this Druid. I haven't seen that in a while, but this pretty much confirms the deck type of this Druid is the double combo, slightly mid-ranged, but mostly double combo Druid. So we won't see hardly any big late game threats. It's but mostly going to be draw power, board control into the Double Force of Nature Savage Roar ability. So he ends up playing Dark Bomb into Mortal Coil to eliminate the Azure Drake. apDrop to JYD. Coins into the anti-heal bot. Heals himself back up to full. And looks like he's going to wipe the board. No, he goes for face and leaves the mind control tech alone. Interesting play. So eliminating the armor allows this Alexstrasza to still bring him to 15 and not have to worry about the threat. Not the threat, the worry about the extra HP. And more than likely, one reason why he did that was because he did not expect there to be a second swipe so soon, considering one was played earlier. Which I would agree with that, considering that it's basically the same argument of the force of nature, like, enabling a lot. So he ends up playing Faceless, which is part of the combo, onto the Felcan, which, luckily for him, ends up eliminating the mind control tech. Now, it's slightly arguable whether he wanted it to hit Lotheb so he could have the Hellfire play on the next turn. So sadly, he doesn't have that option. But I don't think it would have changed the board state all that much, all things considered. So more than likely he's going to end up playing Hellfire on this turn. And he ends up agreeing with me. Yes, this is the Hellfire turn. And he ends up playing Acidic Swamp Ooze. Just to have something on board that JYD has to, not really has to, but to think about contesting. Ancient of Lore is played, ends up drawing to 5 cards in hand. Ancient of Lore, a pretty powerful card in the Druid arsenal, and probably one that would be seen in every single deck if it wasn't a class card. So, Druid of Claw put in charge form. Again, this is the combo deck, so you normally would end up seeing it in the charge form. And Siphon Soul ends up eating the Ancient of Lore, and he ends up we haven't seen Twisting Nether in this particular game yet, so that is going to be an option to end up clearing the board state if JYD ends up getting out of hand, which, with Dr. Boom and the Shade of Naxxramas, it is getting a little bit out of hand. However, apDrop does have a solution. He has the Hellfire. He has the Sledge Belcher into the Druid of the Claw that's in cat form. He has the Big Game Hunter for the Dr. Boom. Using those all in combination, he will regain complete and total board control. We'll end up seeing if the Boom bots are going to be kind to apDrop and play favorably. The best case scenario, 2 damage to face. Worst case scenario, eliminates the extra sledge and deals 4 damage to face. Or deals 8 damage to face, or 7, or maybe anything below 14. So yeah, apDrop decides to hero power. So the play was pretty obvious that that's what he was going to do. And ends up, I didn't end up catching, didn't end up catching how much damage was done to apDrop's face. He was at 17, down 3, so 14. So 6 damage was dealt. 6 damage was dealt. Cast your math. Alexstrasza being drawn, however, allows apDrop to heal back up on this next turn if he ends up deciding to. With Anti-Heal Bot, however, he ends up playing Sedge Belcher and Anti-Heal Bot and regains control over the game. He ends up attacking with the excess sludge to the Keeper of the Grove. Doing that makes it so the Keeper of the Grove, if he attacks the Sledge Belcher, ends up eliminating the Keeper. So it definitely was the proper play. Now we'll end up seeing what JYD has. Force of Nature again. So there goes the combo. Does he actually have the other piece? He does. Force of Nature, Savage War. So if apDrop did not, if he apDrop played Alexstrasza instead of the Sledge Belcher and Anti-Healbot, he would have been dead. So this ends up being the correct play. Now we'll see if JYD decides to go face, or if he ends up clearing the board. He does create an Anti-Healbot and deals the remaining damage that he has available to him. So now apDrop is at 12 HP. We'll see what he ends up doing. Mistress of Pain could end up being played. Arcane Golem is also another possibility. Arcane Golem is normally used for a piece of burst, but apDrop's kind of running out of options. And I'm wondering if apDrop even has enough damage, because this is a burn deck. This combo is designed to burn, similarly to how Freeze Mage is designed to burn. So he might not have enough damage to continue on. So he ends up playing Alexstrasza. And Alexstrasza probably needs to stay on board one turn, regardless of what the Druid does. So the Druid could heal, could play Tree of Life. Alexstrasza needs to stay on board, and it doesn't because of Big Game Hunter. And a Druid of Claw in charge form, yet again, pushing for more damage. This is not looking good for apDrop. With 4 cards left in this deck, Twisting Nether is drawn, ending up redoing the board state. So apDrop might still be in this. Mistress of Pain is played. He still has the Demon Fire. He still has the... I think he played the Faceless already. What else does he have? He has the Implosion, and I can't remember... I think that's it. It ends up drawing the Demon Heart. Is this enough? 4, 12.
I'm almost out of cards.
Demon Heart is 6, 18. Not enough. He's 4 off of lethal. So what does he end up doing? Well, he can play the Arcane Golem. He can Implosion Sylvanas, play the Power Overwhelming. No, how does he play this? Alright, so the Implosion needs... Sylvanas needs to steal an M, or he loses. And he loses. He essentially needed Mistress of Pain to stay alive in this particular situation, because he would have played the Demon Heart onto the Mistress of Pain, and that would have basically enabled him to keep healing and stay alive. apDrop doesn't have the burn anymore. Whatever the last card is, it doesn't matter. apDrop doesn't have any way of doing this game.
You win.
And apDrop agrees and decides to quit. So that is GG. I don't think there are any more to this. There's not. So, that's all for me. Hopefully you guys got a good idea of how to play the deck. It is a 1-2 in this video, but at the same time, the Mistress of Pain play, let's be honest, for that last game, he would have won that if Sylvanas didn't grab Mistress of Pain. That was pretty much a worst case scenario, and that pretty much ended the game for him. The Shaman was unfavorable, and the Hunter, it works pretty well against aggro, so you should try it, especially now at the start of the season as you come up against aggro. So again, if you're looking for the deck list, it's going to be in the apDrop ComboLock teaser video. And I think that's pretty much covers it all. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I still don't have a Twitter. I will make one eventually. I'm just so lazy with it. I'm not ready for the Twitters quite yet. Have a good night. I hope you all... Oh, that also, I was about to mention it. I am going to be casting a tournament for Bloodstone, the finals later tonight, or this evening. It's going to be around 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what stream I'm going to be hosting it on, so pay attention to the description. Eventually, I'm going to plug it in there as soon as I find out what stream it's going to go to. Go to my Twitch at twitch.tv/ray661, and I will be hosting whatever stream I'm going to be hosting the tournament on. And finally, if I have permission, I'll put it on the my YouTube channel. So like, subscribe, do your thing, and have a good night.